Looks like I'm live. Looks like I'm live. And oh my God, look at this. Whee, whew. That's kind of funny. Looks like the roller coaster at Paragon Park, huh? So good morning. I know this is early. I do. Can you tell? I'm like, oh, it's early. But I wanted to chime back in as soon as I could after my adventures. And so here I am. I have my cup of tea with my little teaspoon. And I've got my glass of water because I need to hydrate because, as you may be able to tell, I have a bit of a cold. So good morning. Good morning. Checking off the YouTube Live for Tuesday, April 15th. There we go. Hey, Shannon. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Thank you for the good morning, and a good morning right back to you. Looks like, well, it's kind of gray out, but the funny thing is it's gray out here, but it's not cold. I don't believe it's cold. It doesn't feel cold from inside the house. I'm just going to check real quick on the thing. Okay, it's 57 degrees. It's just pretty warm. Good morning, spreading sunshine, and thank you for spreading some sunshine. There we go. There we go. Now, it is crazy. Oh, so today is tax day. There's that, the Ides of March, I believe we call it. Funny thing is in our town, and I'll have to look at my schedule. In our town, there's a gentleman who owns an ice cream store. I believe he opened it up when he retired. And, well, there we go. Spread some sunshine my way. Actually, it was delightful to get some sunshine yesterday after having a cold and frankly miserable weather-wise stay in New England. But yeah, any sunshine's good for me. And what am I looking for? I want to make sure I have something to blow my nose on. I'm sure I can find something. Anyhow, there's a guy in our town who opened up an ice cream shop after retirement, and he only has it open literally from like tax day until Columbus Day. So like midway through April till a little bit into October. So I believe that the ice cream in our little ice cream shop in our little town is going to open today. There you go. That's awesome, to spread the sunshine anywhere you can. And you know what? I like to do the same in my own retro, I almost said retro roadmap kind of way. I'm easing back into stuff, but nice to see you guys. I see a few more people are watching, and I just want to say, hey, nice to see you. If we haven't met before, my name is Beth. I am a decluttering life coach, and my coaching is called Destination Decluttered. As I move my head aside so you can see, actually over here, we've got today, we're here, but then we chug along, and ideally what we're doing is we're driving towards a destination that we look forward to. I help with clutter. I was just decluttering. I made some trips to the dump. I went through some sentimental stuff with my sister. I have bags of papers that I just want to double check before I shred or recycle. So I got some good decluttering done with my elderly mother this weekend, because not only have I learned how to declutter my life and feeling good about it, but I help. I do this coaching, as we like to say, and I do one-on-one coaching about that. Now, a dream retirement gig, having an ice cream store, yeah, it's kind of cute. It's kind of cute. He lives upstairs from it, and it's just downstairs. So, yeah, it's curious. I think about my retirement gig, and I don't think I enjoy what I do now. And I don't have like an official, like working for the man kind of job. So I don't see retirement in my future unless, things turn otherwise. But I do see a variation in my schedule. We would say that. So here we are, halfway through April. It's getting to be warmer out where I am, and maybe it is with you too. And so the seasons are changing. Now, we all started hanging out together at the beginning of this year, mostly on TikTok in January. And then a couple weeks in, TikTok went dark. So then that's when I kind of dusted off my YouTube channel. And I really love doing the lives on the YouTube channel because it is a core group of people. Everybody has the opportunity to find me here. I don't hide here on YouTube, but some people have chosen for whatever reason, and I'm not going to force anybody, chosen to not kind of show up to lives. And I know today is early, but the neat thing is about um, these YouTube lives, it's a smaller, dare I say, cooler group of people who show up for them. And so I like to be here for you. So let me ask you this. We've got Shannon in retrograde and Spreading Sunshine and some other people who have chosen not to chime in the chat, which is totally fine. Totally fine. We get Narelle. You've stumbled in again. Okay, well, here, if you're stumbling here, grab a hold of something and have a seat if you like. It's nice to see you. Now, I can't even do the math as to what day or time it is where you are, but I hope all is well. But here on the East Coast of the United States, it is 7 a.m. Well, 7:06 right now. And so I just want to offer to you, because I don't do these just to hear myself talk. 9 p.m. on Tuesday. Oh, okay. So you've had a full Tuesday already. Gotcha. I hope you had a good Tuesday. So you're winding down while we're kind of gearing up, as it were, kind of warming up the engine to get going for the day. You're cooling it down. Yeah, that one persona is yawning. Ah, time to get moving this morning. Yeah, picking a pace to get moving this morning. Hopefully you're up early enough if you're in the morning portion of your day where you have time, where you don't have to be scurrying around and rushing. Heather MC, nice to see you. Chiming in. Ding. The YouTube notice woke me up and I got up to make coffee. You're welcome. 6:07 there. Yeah, we got 7:07 here. So look, I'm grateful for that extra hour I have. So you don't have to answer it right away, but I want to, as I like to say, plant the seed. What would you like to get into today? What can I help you with today? As if I was the old uh, retail manager type person that I used to be. What can I help you with today? What did you tune in looking for? I'm happy to provide it if it's something I provide. And if it's something we don't sell, maybe it's like, instead of going to Gimbals, you go to Macy's or vice versa. But I like to help with making sure you're feeling good to start. I'm a decluttering life coach. So making sure you're feeling okay physically and mentally. Now that's on you. What can you do to make yourself feel good? Stretching and yawning is good. You know why? Because that's breathing down. That is waking up, but slowing down if you're maybe, spinning in circles and not feeling good. And then I guess what I would ask you, because I like to, the decluttering is always a good place to start, is have you got a decluttering project? Have you got rooms or spaces in your house that you're still, and I say still, maybe you haven't even started, that you want to improve the way it looks and functions and feels by doing something about the clutter in that room? Or maybe all your rooms in your home look pretty good, are functioning okay, and you feel pretty darn good about that. Do you want to like take it to the next level, or are you in like more of a maintaining, retaining the decluttering mode? Now, one of the things that was interesting for me anyway, when I was at my mom's house this weekend helping her with her clutter, is we are kind of officially done with the attic. There are a few, as I like to say, dribs and drabs, and still up there, but it's nothing that needs reviewing. It's just some big, it's like a box from an old computer and an old kind of cardboard wardrobe that I tried to like knock down, and it, whatever. But it's interesting to have that that room kind of emptied out and not have to worry that my mother's going to go up in the attic and look for something and then fall and break a hip. So that feels really good to have like kind of one layer of the house feeling better. Now that one persona is saying you want to redo your half master bath, but want the bedroom looking better before people come in. Okay, so notice that you want it better for other people when they come in so they don't judge you, maybe. I'm just guessing. But don't forget, even if you use that kind of external eyes, that it's going to be better for you too, that one persona. that the bedroom looking better in case somebody external comes in, you also get to enjoy it looking good for you. You get to enjoy it maybe functioning better, boop, for you. And you get to enjoy feeling good when you wake up in the morning and you're looking around and things are in place. Maybe a few things. I know I've got some things on my bureau top, and I do probably have a few pieces like my dirty socks from yesterday. I took them off and just left them on the floor before I go to bed. But for the most part, now this hasn't always been the way. Having your bedroom looking and functioning and feeling good is a wonderful way to not only start the day, if you're starting the day on the eastern portion of the United States like we are, but Narelle is over, I believe, in Australia. So 9 p.m. Tuesday for her, and winding down for the day, looking around and saying, things look good. I've maybe even set myself up for the next day by picking out my outfit. I know I do that a lot, early traveling and stuff. Being able to reach over to, if you have a nightstand, and not, as I have been earlier this day, afraid to knock over a glass of water, or you've got all these Kleenexes. Maybe you do a little bit before you go to bed. But notice some things happen before other things. There may be a certain organic order of operations as what room you kind of start working on first. So that's cool that you have that. That one persona, if you need any help in the bedroom, let me know what the specifics are. Now, LO says office clutter is a challenge. Yeah, and actually, I just saw the hooray for the being done in the attic, and I will celebrate the hooray. I will share with you. That is really where the family archives were. I think we found some old stuff, and my sister, this was more like when I went through it last year, and then she brought a lot of the stuff back to her house to kind of do a sort, and we went through some of that on Sunday, and then when I went home yesterday, man, the stuff that I could see that my dad took home from his parents' house when we emptied it out in 1985, and then my dad didn't know what to do with it. And so now we got it from his house to my sister's house, and then my sister and I were kind of looking at it, but I was in no condition to look at this stuff in any depth because my cold is improving. It totally is. It's now coming out of the rest of me and out of my nose and hopefully away. But it was crazy to realize how sometimes your clutter can be somebody else's clutter who inherited somebody else's clutter. It was really eye-opening. But LO, office clutter is a challenge. Now, office clutter to me sounds like a good category to start with. Office clutter, bedroom clutter, very good kind of headers, as it were. But I'd get curious if I were you as to what are the specific categories, if you look around, that comprise your clutter. Now, I will do the same because I'm in my office for the first time in a number of days. And I was going to say it didn't change when I was away, but it did change because it actually got worse. Because as you guys may know, we are getting the basement floor done, and we need to move everything out of the basement. And so there are a few more things from basement. My husband brought up some CDs to make sure that, yep, okay. Oh, yeah, that's my list, just to make sure if I wanted them or not. Right. Mano Manischewitz, right. But the neat thing is, I will say this has helped me, so maybe it will help you, is when you're working on a project anyway, the clutter, the clutter in this room is temporary. It has literally been moved from one place to another because that one place needs some work done on it. So like that one persona, if you want to redo your half master bath, you may need to take some things temporarily out of that bathroom. So temporarily can help you, even if the clutter is there right now, and you simply have had like a little, as they say in the biz, like a mindset shift to say, you know what, this clutter is just temporary. Like if we think about it, if we look at the like the road trip analogy, right? Like you are here, but you want to be there. You are here, but you want to be at that heart. You want it where your office looks better to you, functions better to you. Functioning in offices is big, and feels better to you. Those kind of all tie in together. And knowing that the clutter is temporary, no matter how long it's been there so far. All clutter is temporary. Ooh, that's an interesting statement. Now, I just said it. Is it true? I think so. Think about your clutter as just temporary. This is just temporary. It is the stuff that's in the way. It's like the roadblocks and the things that are in the road that are simply in your way as you are wanting to go to your destination. Think about it. It's like somebody's trash barrel that's like blown over and you need to get it out of the way. Or it's like a bag of garbage that somebody threw out in one of those like 70s don't litter commercials. Or maybe it's some literal like blocks in the road that you really need to dismantle a little wall that you've built up that has is stopping you. So think about clutter as being not some permanent fixture. Clutter is movable. Clutter is movable and clutter is temporary because you know it. You know how you know it's temporary? Because you know that that's not what you want to be in that room, right? Or if you want it in that room, you want it in a more specific, better place. Like the difference from having your clean laundry on top of your bureau to having your clean laundry in your closet or your bureau drawers. Okay. Okay. Yes. So, LO, this is neat. So, you're saying we are updating the basement too. So, the office is in my bedroom now. Yeah. I want my new office to be picture perfect, trying to figure out what's important and how to store it better. Okay. So, the neat thing is about the picture perfect, first of all, is that notion of a picture. Now, I can't sketch for much and it wouldn't matter, but man, you can sketch out, you can describe the picture in your head to yourself by writing it down. You could take a picture, you could write a picture, you could sketch something, you could do something in AutoCAD or whatever. What does the picture in your head look like to you for your office? And I would suggest, honestly, writing it down. Writing it down gets the juices flowing as to realizing what do you want where. And also, when you have taken into account all the stuff you do want a home for, you will immediately have a list that you can subtract from the stuff that's there and know the stuff that you don't want in there, you know? Um, Now, the other thing is too, is figuring out what's important. Yeah. I love that you're realizing that because that's what decluttering really is, in a lot of ways, you know? So what is important to me? What do I want in this office and what do I not want in the office? Now, I will say this, picture perfect. I would say you could aspire to perfection, but you're probably not going to get there. You might get perfect for you. This looks perfect to me. But perfection can be something elusive to chase for. So you can I like to just call it better. I like to call it maybe much better than it is now because better is attainable. Perfection, I could look around this room. This is so much better than it was. But man, could I find fault in this room if I chose to? And that would cause me to not feel good about it. But when I say to myself, this is so much better than it was, then I feel better. And then if it's something egregious, we used to use that word when I was in my proofreading and pagination department. I used to manage. If it was something egregious, I will change it. You know, but if it's okay, it's good enough. You know, Kara, hey, nice to see you. So she says she has a complex medical history, joint pain, fog, fatigue, etc. I have medical clutter that was scattered, specialist tests and everything. Oh, interesting. I put everything into Chat GPT, which helped to focus on what's going on. I love it. I have an appointment in 30 minutes and taking the info to the doctor. There we go. Oh, in spite of it, I decluttered the front yesterday. But yeah, you went out into that sunshine, right? I was in the sunshine at my sister's house before I drove home yesterday. Sadly, it's cold and raining today. Yeah, it was sunny and warm when I got home. It is now gray, not raining. It might rain. It's probably going to rain, but at least it's warmer than Mass. But yeah, but think of that. Think of clutter like the weather. In a way, it's only temporary. It's like a temporary secretary. Now, how cool is it? Now, I'm curious, how did you put, if you have all these things scattered and everything, did you type it into Chat GPT? Did you scan it like with an OCR? How'd you do that? Um, so thinking about that, copy and paste. Oh, there you go. Cause it was probably, I love that. That's a great idea. I would be curious how your doctor will respond to that. Sometimes doctors are very progressive and they like that kind of thing. Other times they could be digging their heels in because of technology. There we go. Awesome. Good. Keep us posted if you care to. And good luck. Hopefully that will improve something that they can help you with, you know? All right. Now this is interesting. So LO says, I like your back wall. Okay. So let me describe this back wall to you. Now, the really interesting thing to me is my husband and I have been in our house for 20 years now officially. And very early on, we did a lot of kind of setting up of things that we wanted. And at the time, I really wanted this this shelving unit. And I wanted to have something cool in each one of these things. Now, in years past, it was a lot messier and it was a lot more I was using it more utilitarian like, but I didn't like how it looked. So I changed it. Um, I changed it, but I will say this. I will say this. If I did not have this shelf here, I may not own all the items in it. I have that stuff kind of, as we would say, kind of fluffed out, kind of staged there to look good. But I don't really need all that stuff, but it's there to fill a space. This is one of the things that I think gets into people's problem, gets people into trouble when they have a big house. That you have the room for it, so you don't have the excuse of no, I don't have the room for it. Or, like in this case, that if you take things out of it, it might feel empty and weird. Now, if I moved, would I take this with me? Possibly, but it might be temporary. Temporary. Like it's a long way to temporary. um, but I definitely don't need as much space, as much storage space as this thing provides. So notice you may not need as much storage space as you want, but if you have a lot of storage space, that can make it more difficult sometimes to declutter. Okay. Just wanted to offer that. Now I love it. Yay, Kara. Yay for stuff making you feel hopeful about your health. Yeah, because notice how when we talk on these TikTok lives and YouTube lives, always starting with how do you feel physically and how do you feel mentally, because there is a cascade effect. Feeling hopeful that the information that you've gathered is making you feel good about your health is making you go to the doctor, gather your reports. If you don't feel hopeful, you might not have hope for the future and you could do things that weren't good for your health. But yay. Some days I feel 100, but I keep marching on. Yeah, even if you were 100, what kind of a 100-year-old do you want to be? I was talking about that with my mother because her mother passed when she was almost 101, and my grandmother's sister passed when she was 100. So I have some longevity in the women in my family, actually from both sides. Late 90s, and my great aunts, a couple of them anyway, and hundreds in my grandmother's side. My mother is 84, and she's, for the most part, sharp as a tack. She is slowing down, but like she's going to physical therapy because she's got a shoulder thing, you know? So what kind of old person do you want to be? Yeah. And notice Kara is saying, and this is like destination. This is another destination. What do I want? What kind of old person do I want to be? She says, I want to still be able to walk. Me too. Hell yeah. Walking brings me joy. I want to, so what can I do now? 40 plus years prior to being 100 is I can keep on walking now. I need to maintain, kind of like maintaining a decluttered home. If you don't maintain what you have, you're going to lose it. With the clutter, the clutter could start to pile up again, and it will if you're a person who has items in your home. But also maintaining your health, your physical health and your mental health. Maintaining, sustaining. So you're remaining the person you want to be. And I don't know about you, because I don't know how old people are or whatever, but like I am going to be 59 this summer. And I definitely feel a change in my health over the past 10, 15 years, kind of the menopause thing. But I know myself, if I don't actively use it, I am going to very quickly lose it. Muscle tone, balance, strength, um, all that type of thing. Even honestly, like I don't drive as much as I used to because I used to go on these road trips all along because I used to write books about road trips. And so for me, I realized my road trip muscle has gotten kind of soft. And I knew this because like I drove 6 hours up to Massachusetts on Friday, 6 hours back yesterday, and I was quite beat. I'm used to going on trips with my husband, and we definitely like split the driving, but my driving skills, it was like, oh, this takes some stamina. So defining what you want, and where's my brain? Where's my head? It's always backwards. Oh, no, over here. There we go. Defining what you want. It can be anything you want. But if you get it in your head and you say, and you kind of nod your head and your heart's in agreement, you're saying, yeah, I want to be able to do that, write it down. Write it down. All right. So that one persona, as I declutter the bedroom in the bedroom, I love it. And Heather MC is cleaning the kitchen while I talk. Yay. I love that. So by the time I'm done here in about, I don't know, 33 minutes or so, chef's kiss. You're going to have an excellent looking kitchen. That one persona says, as I declutter in the bedroom, when I come across stuff I want to keep but doesn't have a home and I don't know where to put it, what questions, thoughts should I refer to from the Book of Beth? Ooh, the Book of Beth. Ah. So I find it interesting, and I've done it myself, that if you think about it, and I noticed that one persona, that you had that kind of external eyes, pardon me, of people looking at your home. So when because this happened with Judy as well, Judy Dukes did the same thing, which was kind of turning her bedroom into, I don't want to call it the dumping ground, but the home for things, home for homeless things. Okay, home for homeless things ended up being the bedroom. And um, that can end up, as I said, making you feel kind of crappy in the bedroom. So here's a couple of things I would think of. First of all, if I don't want that bedroom to look the way it does, but I've got some things in it that I want to keep, but I don't know where, um, it doesn't have a home yet. Yet is a good word. I don't know where to put it. This is what I would start with. I want to start with incrementally. So I would start very generally. I want to keep this X, maybe this category of whatever. Like if you give me a specific, and maybe you giving me a specific will help you solve this. Solving things vaguely leads to vague answers, but solving things specifically gives better, more targeted, more strategic answers. So what I would do is start with categorizing the stuff that's in your bedroom that you want to keep there and the stuff you don't. The stuff you don't want in the bedroom, you've made an important decision right there. Okay, I love it. It definitely is the item orphanage. Also the household hotel where items stay when companies comes over. Yeah, we call that like the pitch and ditch room. You pitch it, you ditch it when somebody's coming so you can shut the door, because typically, unless, depending upon um, your comfort with your people coming in your house, the bedroom can be someplace that's private. So you can easily shut the door and nobody's going to be expecting to have access to it. That's often why we shove things into our bedrooms. However, that can also affect us. Now, I would say this. I would pick, let's say, a category, one item, and say, I know this doesn't belong in this room. Oh, this was great. I will tell a story in a minute. It doesn't belong in this room, and that popped up that I found a thing that I think my sister wrote. One of my sisters wrote about my house as she was growing up. We found it in the attic, and it said our house has 11 rooms, including the basement and the attic. So let's say you have 11 rooms in your house, and one of them is the bedroom. You know you don't want that category or that item in the bedroom. So then you say, where does it go? So I would mentally walk around and say, what of the other 10 rooms in this house does it fit better in? Okay, does it fit better in? It's not such a good fit for the bedroom. Where is a better home for this? Notice I am not saying perfect home for this. Sometimes decluttering is incremental. It is not picture perfect right away. I know I don't want it in the bedroom. Where is a better place to put it? Well, maybe I will experiment with it being stored in the dining room because we don't really dine there. Or maybe it's something that I use infrequently and only seasonally that I can pack away and put it in the attic or the basement. So I think the thing is when you don't know where to put it, that's a question. If you live with other people, you can ask them, what do you think? Where do you think we should put this? But if you're both saying, I don't know, it's up to you to decide. Make a decision, play with it. I don't know. Let's try this. Don't let I don't know be a dead end, be a stop sign. I don't know for sure because nobody's sure. Maybe you just add the for sure. I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking, let's try, let's play with, let's experiment. Does that help that one persona with the item orphanage? If you give me some more specifics, we can talk about that more. Now, one of the things I know that was in the attic of my parents' house was stuff that they didn't know what to do with that was like paperwork of things that I think it just, and it literally, that's what ended up. So a lot of the stuff up there got pitched and ditched at some point and then never to be seen again. Literally stuff from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond. So sometimes when you pitch and ditch things, you say, oh, well, I'll put this here temporarily, but then it becomes a permanent home for that. So what's something that has kind of been camping out too long in the bedroom, but if you look at it kind of with fresh eyes that you don't want it in that bedroom? Write those things down. Even just writing them down, kind of like maybe Chat GPT tends to be like an external AI type of thing for to reproduce like the thought process of the human brain. So use your own Chat GPT. Write down those things. If you wrote down those things, it gets your brain to move. Where do we put the luggage? Where am I going to put, like, we need a home for the following items that are in the bedroom because we know one thing, which is we don't want them in the bedroom anymore. We may have lived with it for a while, but now it's time for it to go. So here's the funny thing. Here's the story I promised you, which cracks me up. Because talk about out of the mouths of babes and a completely true sentence and such a wonderful, like descriptive sentence. In describing the house that I grew up in, my sister wrote, my house is, and I'm not gonna get it exact because I don't have it in front of me, but it was like, my house is covered in white paint that is chipped and blue shutters when they are up. Doesn't that paint a picture? It's not just a white house with blue shutters. It is a white house with chipped blue paint. And the shutters are blue when they are up because they weren't always up. My dad was always painting the house. And by the time he got around to one side, because it took him forever, because he wasn't a house painter by trade, it was time to paint the other thing. But isn't that funny? And my sister and I looked, and she couldn't even tell if it was her writing or our other sister's writing. And I know it wasn't me because I'm left-handed, so my writing was always kind of like a little bit this, a little bit that. But notice a couple of things that have come up that are going to be recurring motifs in what I offer and I suggest for decluttering. It's kind of like how my husband, when he plays music, often goes to a chord combo that's very Beatles oriented or Cara, like Beach Boise, Idaho, is getting specific, chunking it down, not saying everything, but one specific thing. So chunking it down, writing it down. Even just the act of writing it down makes it more real. Find a home for that heavy leopard skin pullover that was hanging on the back of the bedroom door that I realize now that hopefully, God willing, it's not so cold that I'll be wearing it again or using it as like a little blanket when I cuddle up. So where can that go? Okay, well, it is a piece of clothing. Where do I put my other clothing that I store for the season? Do I have room for it in a tote? If I don't have room for it in a tote right now, should I buy another tote? No, because we have more totes around here, but they are temporarily being used as storage for things in the basement. You know? There we go. Headed to Boise on Saturday. Okay, you can totally use my Beach Boise joke then, okay? Attribution. Just send me a nickel, right? So I love that. I love that. Um, yeah, it's kind of Beach Boise. But this is the neat thing I will share with you guys is, and I did this literally, I could show you. Like, I had a list of stuff that I wanted to do when I was away. Okay. This was my map for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Now it's pretty vague, but there are some chunks there. And me writing down what I wanted to happen, I don't want to say it made me manifest it, but it got it more specific. It made it more real in my brain that, yes, this is important enough to write down. And I don't want to say, oh, it's not important, I'm not going to write it down, I'm going to remember it. But if I don't write things down, I am apt to forget it. You know? Ha 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 ha. Now, this is interesting. Yeah. And for the moms of cluttered 20 somethings, daughter said she doesn't want to buy anything because she's low key looking for a new job. Yeah. Yeah. And who is she? I know. Maybe through the miles from Mass to Idaho, that she is getting the vibe of sometimes clutter can be fun and other times clutter can be weighing you down. Because notice, if you're weighed down with a bunch of stuff, it's going to be much harder to move someplace. But if you are light and mobile, you can move anywhere, you know? Okay, so notice that one persona. I love that you took the time to write it down in the comments. Okay, so it is a range of items, but even a range of items, you've hit on some specific knickknacks, seasonal clothes, stuff that came up from the basement when it had water in it. Yeah, so you've got 3 categories right there. And there we go. I'm going to go section by section while the kid is asleep. And I highly recommend. I love that you shared that. So you're using this next step. Get yourself your 50-cent workbook, your notebook, and just write those things down. Okay? Yeah. And Idaho is lovely, but not her vibe with this administration. Yeah. You are so much more easily able to be flexible and move to someplace that looks like you want it to, functions like you want it to, and feels like you want it to, if you're not weighed down, if you're not trapped in it with a lot of stuff. One of the games I played during COVID, actually, and this was more of a fun thing because, well, we still had that administration, that's true, but I was thinking, I use this, if I were to move to Palm Springs, would this fit in my dream Palm Springs house? And I really took a look at that. And what it allowed me to do is like, would I want to truck this all the way across the country? But also, would it give me that vibe that I want? Now, I wasn't moving, and I kept on saying to my husband, "This is just crazy because I know I don't want to move. I'm very happy. We're very happy here, and it's wicked expensive there." And yet, that thought of if I had to move, if we wanted to move, not had to move, that's a different thing. But if we wanted to move, what would we keep? What would we happily, actively bring with us, wanting to decorate our Palm Springs home for it? Now, what that ended up resulting is our home here in Pennsylvania looking a more like that Palm Springs house, which we enjoy, right? Yeah, yeah. LO says I've actually started to have a couple of drawers with nothing in them, hopefully never to fill again. Yeah, you know what I started filling mine with? I have 2 drawers. I have a whole drawer in my bureau in the bedroom, and I keep my packing supplies in there. My packing cubes, my like I bought one of those like 8 packs of tissues for travel in dribs and drabs like that, but I love having a home for those, you know? Yeah, we missed the Palm Springs train. We totally did. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Um, I enjoy visiting there. I don't know if I'd want to live there. I think the novelty, and especially if it gets to be 120 degrees in the summer, might wear off. I am happy where I am. I really am for the most part. Now that could change. That could change if the administration here changed. That could change if my friends moved away. That could change if we got some neighbors we didn't like. All things are up for change. But for right now, I'm happy where I am. And I love traveling and visiting places, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Now, Narelle says, I have literally trucked boxes of stuff across the country that I don't need, but didn't want to throw away. Now I have a ton of sorting to do. Yeah. Now I will offer this to you, Narelle. Now, notice earlier, just moments ago, I shifted my words from if we had to move versus if we wanted to move. Now, having to move to me is a bit of a fear. Why are we moving? We have to move to get out of situation. That gets me in lack, that gets me in fear, and that gets me into want to hang on to more things. But sometimes you just do not know until you get to where you are what you need. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with having brought too much to wherever you are now and feeling more comfortable sorting that stuff now, knowing as opposed to guessing I might want that in my other house. I might want that because I bet that's a lot of things that you possibly did. I might need it in the new place and I'm not sure. So my uncertainty has caused me to temporarily bring too many things into this house. That is completely what we did here. Completely. We brought our entire house from our last place, which was about the same square footage, but I also was actively collecting for and selling mid-century items. So my story goes, because it's true, we moved in here with like 5 couches, 34 lamps, and boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff that even though we didn't have it in our old house, because I was shutting down my biz in the other state, I brought with us. So we moved a lot of that stuff. Our garage was chock a block full when we first moved in. In our basement, it looked like we had been here for 20 years. And slowly but surely, we got to decide and we got to pick from the cream of the crop. You got to pick from the cream of the crop to say, okay, I've got these 5 couches. Which one fits the best in that room? Okay, put that one there. Oh, we could probably fit the other one in that room. Oh, that looks pretty good in there. And we had that for a while. And then the other ones, it made it easier when you could see the stuff in its place. There were, I'm sure, some things that we did not bring up with us. So do not, yeah. Oh, I love that word. Narelle says, my husband was working interstate, so we had 2 households. Yes, I need to, you guys, the word of the day. Now I need to amalgamate. Amalgamated Industries. Doesn't that sound like somebody who is like, Acme fireworks company, like something Wiley Coyote would play with, amalgamated, right? So yes, now you need to integrate it. That happened when my mom, a number of years ago, my parents had a vacation home on Cape Cod. My dad passed. My mom did the house for a while, but it was always more of a burden to her than a joy because keeping 2 households and all that. Well, at a certain point, she had 2 of many things. So we moved what she thought she wanted, and she brought some things up that we were like, oh my, you don't need this. But we couldn't tell her. She needed to experience that for herself. So that's okay. That's just temporary. Now you're in one place. Now you can better figure out what you want in that one place and that one room. And one thing I will say to you too is I am getting so much better at being cool with just empty space. Empty space during the day, on my calendar, in a room. Empty space gives you possibility. So if you're moving into a house right now, don't be so hot and heavy to like fill up every square inch. Allow yourself to organically unpack and decide what you want to keep and what you don't. Now, this is a good idea. Norella is saying, my husband stood in the bedroom this morning and said, I have too many clothes. And he does. You may know that because you're saying, yes, you do, but it's good for the other person to realize that. Because I bet it doesn't look good because there's too many clothes. It doesn't function well because you can't find an outfit to easily put on. And it doesn't feel good when you're scrambling around just trying to find something, right? Yeah, no, Wendy is chiming in about the benefits of empty space is easier to clean, less to move and dust and vacuum sweep, all that. Completely. Completely. I love that. You know. Now it was oops, it looks like I missed something. Yes, okay. So here, that one persona, I just saw your thing where it says write it down in one of the handfuls of notebooks that are also floating around. Okay. So if you have notebooks, this is what I would highly recommend. And I know that many of you have many notebooks because that's what we people do. I used to do that myself, but I have trained myself to not buy another notebook until I'm almost done with the first one. A We always think that a fresh notebook is going to solve the problems of our lives, and it will. It will, but not multiples of them, okay? So if your notebooks, and I say this to that one persona, but really to anybody here, if you have multiple notebooks and they are floating around in your house, imagine that. They're kind of floating around, what I would highly recommend is gather them together like the pilgrims on what do you call it, on Thanksgiving, because I've got we've gathered together to ask the Lord's blessings. He hastens and chastens our way. You can tell I was up in Massachusetts because I was just getting all old school. Um, Gather up your notebooks. Find a home for said notebooks. Okay. And then practice. It's practicing, it's habit. Practice using just one of them. And practice this is functionality. Making a home, deciding this is the notebook home, practicing using it, practicing putting it away. So when you go to look for your notebook, you always know where to find it. Okay. So I just noticed that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, having too many of something, notice too many is a quantity. Too many is above kind of that set point of just right. I have too many pounds on my body. I have too many pens, and yet I can't find a good pen to write with. I've got too many pairs of scissors. God, I was at my mother's house yesterday. She has like 6 pairs of scissors in the right thing. I only have 3 or 4 or 5. So, yes. Yes, notebooks, we gather here today to sort you out and figure out where you go. Yeah. And notebooks, I will tell you, truth be told, I never realized how much notebooking I have done throughout my life until I started going through my own kind of archives here. It is a really good way to get the mystery out of your head of what the hell's going on here and attach some words to it and then get those words written down to get some insight, to learn some things from yourself. Now, you may have written in little things in those notebooks. Glance through them before you put them away. Dare I say, pull some of the pages that do not apply anymore out of your notebooks so you have some empty ones. And there's nothing many, if you notice too, in my kind of notebooky coaching, I've got two. I've got one with a really good binder here, and it's got this, and I've got this kind of 50-cent piece. This is the impermanent one. This is like the rough draft version, and this is the more permanent one. But even this one, if I had started to use this type of notebook for just, writing down stuff, but I want to make it more formal, I may take like a razor blade and I would cut out the pages that I didn't want, and I would use it again, using what you have. That's why I discourage people who I coach with from going out and saying, oh, I need to buy all this new stuff to start coaching. I need to buy something new. Ironically, isn't it funny? You add to your clutter to solve your clutter. Now, so I say, if you've got a notebook or even a freaking pad of paper, because God knows I found some empty pads of paper up in my parents' attic, having some place, a specific place to write these things down, that's a home for your thoughts. It is. You're practicing putting your thoughts down on paper in a specific notebook that lives in a specific place. And this is just one of the things that can really help you. It's a really simple thing. It doesn't cost a wicked lot of money. And it's not anything specific because sometimes specificity can help, but sometimes people will sell you planners that cost a lot of money, but they're set up, they try to set it up for everybody's brain, but they end up setting it up for their own brain. That's what I do. I offer this, but I give the flexibility of just a lined piece of paper. Now, I will say lined paper is good because you can pretty much write a sentence on a line. It's not swirling all over the place and looking messy, but you can make a nice list. You can use the lines as a unit of measure. But look at me. Now I sound like an infomercial for Staples, which I'm not, but it can be really helpful to get your thoughts out of your head and down onto paper. Get them out of you. You kind of unburden yourself with it. Unburden yourself. You've got fewer thoughts in your head, but you've got them. It's not like you're whatever, but you can then look at them and really study them. Wow, is that what I've been thinking? Is that what I've been thinking? Wow, that is what I've been thinking. It's kind of like, this is going to sound gross, but it's kind of like throwing up. That's what's making me be sick. Oh, I ate something bad. I poisoned myself, but I threw it up. And this is going to be gross, but I look to find what was poisoning me so I don't poison myself again. What's the thing that's making me feel gross? I don't know. It's probably a thought I ingested and started to believe was true, and it made me feel awful. Throw that shit up, Jay. Ugh, no. Life is too short. Get the bad thoughts out. Get all the thoughts out of you and separate them. You know? Yeah. Yeah. Wendy LCM says, I find when I'm stuck on a problem, I need to write it down. You guys, sometimes life is like math. Sometimes life is like being an architect. Sometimes life is like, you know, just figuring it out. Every single thing that was built in the world of importance has started with something written down on papyrus, in sand, getting it out of your head so you can see what you're doing. If it gets out of my head, and then the idea can grow. And I think what happens is because this is I've seen the opposite happen. You say, that's not important, I'm not going to write it down. Ever said that? Oh, that's not important, I'm not even going to write it down. I get that a lot from my clients who, when I say write down the good stuff, they're like, oh, I didn't think that was important enough. Okay. But notice, if you say it's not important enough to write it down, flip it on its side, that means you write down the important things. So if you have thoughts that keep on coming up, now I'm not going to say they're worthy of thinking. Sometimes they're not. That's the poison. That's the stuff where you're like, oh my God, I've been thinking that all along. Like, that's not good. Those are the words. Those right there are the words that made me feel bad. My parents never loved each other. They didn't like me, so they had 2 other children after me. I was a complete disappointment as a child. I don't know, I'm making shit up but I'm not saying that it hasn't gone through my head at some point. Is that really true? Can I look for evidence where it's not true? Does it make me feel good to think those things? And if it doesn't make me feel good to think it, why the fuck am I thinking it? To make myself feel bad? No. Everybody, traffic cop hand to the rescue. Stop thinking the thoughts that make you feel bad. Now, there's a difference, though. I want to be very clear. There is a difference between getting a freaking lobotomy and being yippee skippy and, oh, everything is great and everything is wonderful. And I can tell I'm hanging out with my mother because she always puts on a fake voice when she's talking about some other people. There is a difference between consciously stopping the things that are poisoning you so you can continue on in this life and burying your head in the sand and not seeing what goes on. There's a balance between being informed and poisoned. And you are much more important to yourself and the world if you're informed, because then you can take informed actions to change your world versus burying your head in the sand. But if you poison yourself, you're not helpful to yourself or anybody else. So think about that. What are the thoughts you have? What are the words that you tell yourself about decluttering that are poisoning you, that are making it difficult for you to start, that you feel nauseous, that you feel heavy, that you feel like, oh, I feel sick to my stomach before I even want to try this? Write them down. Nobody else has to see them. You know how we were saying you shove the stuff that you don't want other people to see in the bedroom? Put it in a notebook that only you know where it is. You don't have to keep those thoughts either. You can write down, and this is why. I will share with you, in real life, I have never been a fan of spiral bound notebooks because you get the little threads stuck in here. And I often have to vacuum up this room because it gets the little dribs and drabs falling. But the reason I like these notebooks is because when you're done doing the work, you can tear the page out, you can crumple it up, you can throw it away. But notice I said you could, after you've done the work, you reflect on what you wrote down. That's why I didn't crumple that one up, because I want to make sure I did all the stuff that I did, and I want to transfer it into my book because I did some good stuff. Hey, Ellen, nice to see you. It really can be that simple, you guys. The more I coach, it's like having a recipe where it has a lot of extra steps and a lot of extra ingredients, but you know the taste you want, and you get better at it so you can do it in fewer steps. And so I really just trying to distill, amalgamate, as it were. There can be a lot of extra fluff, but really it is as, oh my God, that's wicked funny, Kara. My mom talks in hushed tones when she talks about other people. Did you hear? Yeah. I think it's an old Boston thing. Yeah, because you don't want other people hearing. West Roxbury, that's wicked funny because my parents grew up in my Dedham and Roslindale, Chestnut Hill, which was seriously like right next to West Roxbury. What is the Village? The Village Theater there was. I remember seeing the Aristocats there in 1973 maybe, but I digress. I love talking about back in the day. But yeah, notice the voices that we put on when we're talking. I really want to be a ballerina. Look at her. I'm being kind of judgy. She did not age well, Yeah. Yeah. LO says, love that. A notebook for things to think, write about, and then toss. But yes, but before you toss it, learn from those things. Learn the lesson, because if you don't learn the lesson, you're going to be repeating those things. Oh, that's wicked funny. My dad was from Roslindale. Yes. Where's the other place? I can't think of it, but it's in that area. I bet they, who knows? They probably went up. They all probably rode the T together going into town. Oh, and it was wicked fun. We saw Carousel at the Colonial Theater in Boston on Sunday. I hadn't been there in decades. Wicked old school. But yeah, you can write down things. Let me be very clear about something too. You can throw up, and this is going to sound gross, but maybe this is the grossness that will remind you of this importance. If you do not examine and find out, kind of like Quincy M.E., if you do not be a coroner and decide what was making you sick, you may eat it again. You may keep it in you and not throw it up. So write down the shitty thoughts, but then only do it on half the page. Then write something better here and then draw a line through it. Replace the shitty thought with something better, but then draw a line through it, because what you're going to find out is your shitty thoughts. I don't know why I'm calling that, but the thoughts that poison you, it's the same thing over and over again. I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. And I don't really like that phrase. Frankly, it doesn't resonate with me. So I get more specific. Okay. And I want to share with you, speaking of specific, as I just looked, it's 7:59 and I coach in like a minute. So this has been wonderful. Okay. This has been really helpful for me. Thank you for helping me wake up and to start the day, getting the blood flowing, the juices flowing. I have a TikTok live that is going to be at 11 a.m. today. So I offer to you, experiment with what I just gave you. Play around if you have the time with this. Let me know how it worked. If you have the ability to do that and come back at 11 a.m. Eastern, please do. Let me know what it worked. If it didn't work for you, that's what I want. I want to know when it's not working, because I don't want to be here telling people something worked that doesn't work. So just, prove me wrong. See if that helped. It may feel weird, but try it. Let me know how it worked and we can talk from there. Okay. Now I have to scoot. Always a pleasure, you guys. Truly, truly. And this is why I do the YouTube lives before the TikToks, because TikTok is a little bit about the new people. YouTube is all about the people who are cool enough and brave enough to say, I don't have to find my information just on TikTok. I can go elsewhere. I can move. I am flexible and light, and I can learn things. I can learn to go on to YouTube. So, always a pleasure. I'm going to end the stream now. Islands in the stream. And I will maybe see you guys in a few more hours. And if not, later this week. Okay? Bye.